What do you believe? We will define the term theory, no benefits considering what theory conveys, and dive into types of literary theories. So, what is a theory? So, the definition from Merriam-Webster is that theories is a belief, policy, or procedure proposed or followed as the basics of action. Well, we come up with different ideas and we turn it into something that goes deeper all the time. But let's take this a little bit further. In a writing standpoint, literary theory. Literary theory is school of thought or style of literary analysis, giving readers means to critique ideas and principles of literature. So pretty much, how is this benefiting us? So it enables readers and critics a better understanding of literature through close readings and contextual insights. And that's the overall objective when it comes to literary theories. And I am going to go over the 15 types of literary theories. And this is just a brief overview of what it is and a wonderful circle to briefly explain it. All right, so we're going to start with practical criticism. It encourages readers to examine without outside context. So in other words, whenever you're reading it, what are you getting out of it? So without I have to think outside the box. You're just practically thinking about what's inside the book. In other words, opposing that, it's cultural studies that examine context of a socio-cultural environment. So you are pulling things from outside sources, and as you're reading, you are finding similarities to differences. Practical and cultural studies are quite opposites. Formalism, examine formal elements. So pretty much you're looking into how it's written and structured. And it usually favors things that are canon. So I guess you could think of the Harry Potter series and how many canon things there are that we pull from to create fanfic or whatever we do to create theories. Think of Hermione, I guess. Reader response. Reader response is rooted in a reader's reaction to or interpretation of a text. So think of it as a critical study. And it doesn't have to be so restrictive because it's your interpretation. It's what you think about the reading, whether while you're actually reading the book or after finishing the book, you have insight of what the book was trying to tell you, but in your own perspective. New criticism examines formal and structural elements of literature. So it's not based on emotions or morals. So it kind of relates to formalism, looking more inside the text and how it is structured and how it's executed. And yeah. Next one we're going to go over is the psychoanalytic criticism. So think of dream interpretation. This is kind of based on Sigmund Freud's principles of psychoanalytic analysis. Yeah, a big word. That's why I put it simple right here. Dream interpretation. I guess psycho abilities or something like that. Gotta have to look more into that one. It's an interesting one. And like I said, it's based on Sigmund Freud's theory. So the next one, Marxist theory. So this was founded by Karl Marx. And it is based on political and sociological ideology. And think of class relations as socialist ideas. Next one we got is postmodernism. So it's fractured and dissonant, or what it means is lacking harmony of 20th century life. So this is focusing more like 20th century. Think of the 1920s, the World War One, the Great Depression, World War II, Cold War. Some of those things that happened within the 20th century, and yeah. And it is rejecting modernist ideas and unified narrative. So keep that in mind whenever looking more into certain ideas of things after modern stuff. Post-structuralism questions any assumed universal truths. So universal truths are like, oh, what is this big takeaway that we can all understand? And that's like anyone can get this. It abandons ideas of formal and structural cohesion. So it's opposites from the new criticism and formalism. So yeah, right? Okay, so deconstruction, it picks apart a text's ideas or arguments. So whenever you are reading something, there is always something to be told and something that the writer or the author is trying to convey. And there's always this idea or ideas or this main argument that the writer is trying to address. But with deconstruction, we're trying to underline the contradictions that we can't pick at. Post-colonial theory examines impacts of colonialism in critical theory. So pretty much it challenges dominance of Western thought. So think of how the Eastern Hemisphere with the Europeans came to the West and settled in Americas and all that. So pretty much, yeah, colonialism. And then we got feminist criticism. So it's inspired through feminist movement that looked into gender studies. So think about the women's movements and suffrage that occurred in the 1800s, and yeah, and how women fought for certain things like the right to vote, and a lot of social issues that they fought to have those rights. Queer theory. So pretty much similar to feminist criticism, focusing on the gender roles, specifically through orientation and gender identity. So when it comes to this one, gender is going to play a really big role, and how someone expresses themselves. We're going down here into the critical race theory. So it is examining the law, criminal justice, and cultural text through the lens of race. So we're not just a social class. We're actually lead the ethnicities and the different types of people. And this emerged during the civil rights movement. And then finally, we have right here critical disability theory. So pretty much these views go hand in hand and seek to examine ableist societal structures. So this is just a brief overview of the 15 types of literary theory. And you can use any of these throughout any text or book that you read. And all of this you can examine, and this is all pretty much of your interpretation, pretty much. And one thing I would keep in mind, don't take criticism literally, because it's meant to be subjective. And like I said, it's your opinion. Because theory is all about opinions. And what do you believe about theories?